Welcome back. Look, if I have to scroll past one more 19-year-old life coach telling me to manifest abundance or buy virtual land in the metaverse, I might actually scream. The internet is currently drowning in noise. It is an absolute landfill of theoretical garbage. Everyone has an idea for a business that might work in some hypothetical utopic future where physics doesn't apply. But today, no. Firmly, today we are cutting the fluff. We are taking a scalpel to the economy and looking at exactly what is bleeding money right now. We aren't trying to reinvent the wheel here. We aren't trying to be the next Elon Musk. That is a nightmare scenario. We are simply observing the machinery of capitalism, finding the gears that are already turning, and essentially sticking our hand in to grab some cash, hopefully without losing a finger. So let's stop hallucinating about passive income and look at 12, we're focusing on the big 3 today, models that are actually generating cash flow in the real world. The authority architects. Let's start with something I like to call the ego economy, or if you want to be professional about it, the intersection of artificial intelligence and personal branding. Here is the scenario. You have C-level executives, founders, high-level consultants, people who make ungodly amounts of money. These people have a problem. They are desperate for attention. They need to look like thought leaders. They need to generate leads on LinkedIn. But, and this is the critical part, they usually cannot write to save their lives, or they simply don't have 2 hours a day to sit there and type out inspirational quotes. Their time is worth $500 an hour. Writing a tweet is essentially a waste of their existence. This is where you come in. We are seeing agencies like Yellow Ink Digital absolutely crushing it by solving this specific supply and demand imbalance. They are selling authority as a service. Now, you might think, David, I don't want to write boring business posts all day. That's the beauty of it. You don't have to. You use the AI. You let the robot do the heavy lifting, the structure, the ideation, the rough draft. Then you come in with the human touch. You polish it. You add the nuance. You make sure it doesn't sound like a robot wrote it. Clients pay a premium monthly retainer for this. Why? Because to them, one viral post, one correct handshake on LinkedIn is worth tens of thousands of dollars. You are selling them a reputation. And let me tell you, people will pay an absolute fortune to look smart on the internet. The boring business of leads. All right, let's pivot. Let's get away from the flashy stuff and talk about something incredibly unsexy. I want to talk about lead generation. I know, everyone wants to start the next crypto exchange or build a rocket ship, but you know what actually buys groceries? Boring businesses. Boring businesses are the ones printing the most money while everyone else is distracted by the latest shiny object. Look at companies like the Martel Group. They aren't trying to be everything to everyone. They aren't trying to sell sneakers to teenagers. They focus specifically on B2B tech and SaaS companies. Their value proposition is, essentially, we will get you customers. That's it. That is the whole business model. They handle the outbound sales, they do the deep research, they manage the sales development reps. Their goal is simple but difficult to execute: booking qualified meetings. If you can build a system, a machine that predictably fills a sales calendar with people who actually want to buy something, you essentially have a license to print money. It is predictable, it is repeatable, and unlike selling NFTs of bored monkeys, it provides actual value to the economy. It is the engine room of capitalism. It's loud, it's greasy, and it is incredibly profitable. The digital asset. Finally, let's shift gears to e-commerce. Now, usually when people say e-commerce, they mean buying cheap plastic garbage from overseas, filling your garage with cardboard boxes, and spending your weekends fighting with the post office. That sounds like absolute hell to me. I am talking about digital assets, specifically Etsy printables. I can hear you rolling your eyes. Printables? Really? Yes, really. The numbers here are actually insane. We are seeing sellers in this niche reporting revenue upward of $9,500 a month. And what are they selling? Air. Whispering. They're selling digital files. Downloadable planners, financial templates, wedding checklists, things that exist purely as data. The magic here isn't the product, it's the margin. You create the asset once, you upload the file, and then you can sell it 10,000 times. You could be asleep, you could be on vacation, you could be dead, honestly, and the store would keep making money. It is the ultimate create once, sell forever model. Once that flywheel starts spinning, it is a thing of beauty.
The ghost in the machine. First up, let's talk about the creator economy. I know. It's a buzzword. It's annoying. It sounds like something a 20-year-old life coach yells about on TikTok while renting a Lamborghini by the hour. But putting the cringe aside for a second, it is essentially a gold mine. The problem is the mechanics of it. Most people are absolutely terrified of the camera. They don't want to be famous. They value their privacy. And frankly, good for them. Have you seen what fame looks like lately? It looks exhausting. It looks like a nightmare scenario. This brings us to the concept of YouTube automation. This is the business of running channels without ever showing your face. This is for the introverted entrepreneur who understands media but hates attention. The barrier to entry here it's essentially crashed into the floor thanks to technology. We have tools now like Tube Engine AI that allow you to automate the entire messy, soul-sucking process. We aren't just talking about editing, we are talking about generating scripts, synthesizing voiceovers that actually sound human, which is terrifying by the way, creating visuals, and handling the scheduling. Here is the shift in perspective you need to have. Stop thinking like a YouTuber. You aren't an artist, you are a factory owner. This technology allows you to treat YouTube like a portfolio of digital real estate. Instead of running one channel and pouring your soul into it, only to have the algorithm ignore you, you can run 5, 10, maybe 15 niche channels simultaneously. You are essentially building a media company where your entire staff consists of robots who don't ask for raises, don't take lunch breaks, and don't have emotional breakdowns. It transforms content creation from an art form into a scalable manufacturing process. It is cold, it is calculated, and that is where the real money is. The outsourced sales force. Next, we have a model that is, it's timeless. It's the appointment setting agency. Now, before you roll your eyes, this is distinct from general lead generation. General lead generation is usually just garbage. It's selling a list of email addresses that have been spammed to death since 2012. This is about the human element. Companies like Belkin's have absolutely mastered this. They act as an outsourced sales force for B2B businesses. Think about the psychology here. Most founders are terrible at sales. They're engineers, they're product people. They're great at building the widget, but they would rather jump off a bridge than cold call a prospect. It is their personal hell. That is where you come in. You research the leads, you run the outreach, and you get the prospect on the phone. You do the dirty work. The logic here is simple math. It is undeniable. If a company knows that paying you $5,000 results in $20,000 of new business, they will pay you that $5,000 every single month until the sun explodes. You are essentially selling money at a discount. It is one of the few business models where the client feels like they're ripping you off because the ROI is so high. And honestly, that is a beautiful position to be in. You want to be the person selling dollar bills for 50 cents. That is a business model that never goes out of style. Now, let's pivot to the information landscape. We are living in an era of absolute noise. Just constant screaming data. It is a sewer of information out there. Executives and business owners are drowning in it. They do not need more information. They need a filter. This is where trend prediction newsletters come in.
Platforms like business.com thrive on this. They publish industry insights and data for businesses that need to stay ahead but don't have 40 hours a week to read boring white papers. This is called information arbitrage. You collect data from the noisy, chaotic open market, you package it into a clean, curated, easy-to-digest format, and you monetize that convenience. Whether it's paid subscriptions or high-ticket sponsorships, packaged knowledge is an incredibly high-margin product. You have to understand, you aren't selling news, you are selling time. You are selling clarity in a world of absolute chaos, and people, especially rich, stressed-out people, will pay a significant premium for clarity. They are paying you to shut up the noise so they can focus.
The 24/7 robot intern. Let's go back to AI for a second, but let's get specific. I want to talk about AI chatbots. And no, I don't mean the terrible ones. We are moving past the era of generic chatbots that just annoy customers and provide zero value. The "I'm sorry, I didn't catch that" era is over. We are talking about bespoke, trained agents. Smart entrepreneurs are building custom chatbots tailored for specific niches: real estate, law firms, dental practices. These bots are trained on specific FAQs, company policies, and sales scripts. For a business owner, this is a total game changer. Think about the overhead of a human support staff. Humans need sleep. They get sick. They have bad days. With this model, instead of hiring support staff to cover nights and weekends, the owner gets a 24/7 AI employee that answers questions instantly and qualifies leads while the owner is asleep. It's a simple idea, but the leverage is massive. You are selling them efficiency and customer retention. You are essentially selling them a robot intern that never sleeps, never complains about the air conditioning, and never steals K-cups from the break room. It is the perfect employee. Now, in the world of micro SaaS and no-code tools, there's a massive market for Notion templates. But you have to understand the psychology here. People are not buying a Notion template. They are buying a solution to their chaotic lives. Founders, project managers, recruiters, they are disorganized. They're messy. Their digital lives are a disaster zone. They will happily pay for a pre-built system that saves them hours of setup time. If you can design a workflow that organizes a startup's fundraising pipeline or manages a content calendar perfectly, that is a product. One well-designed template can quietly generate recurring income for years. You are essentially acting as a digital architect. You are selling the blueprints for productivity. You build the structure once, you do the hard work one time, and thousands of people can live inside it. It's passive income in the truest sense of the word. You build the house and the rent checks just keep showing up in the mail. That is the scenario we are all looking for. The middleman maneuver. Here's a sneakier model. I absolutely love this one. It feels like a cheat code, but it is completely legal. It relies entirely on management rather than creation. We are talking about managing overseas virtual assistants for founders. This is classic internet arbitrage. The cool kids call it drop servicing, but let's call it what it really is: profiting from the headache delta. Here's the reality, the absolute unvarnished truth. Founders generally hate the recruitment process. It is miserable. It's essentially a garbage fire of wasted time. They do not want to sift through hundreds of resumes that are mostly lies. They don't want to train new hires, and they certainly do not want to manage the day-to-day operations of a VA in a time zone that is 12 hours ahead. They just want the work done. Period. So this is the scenario. You set up an agency, you step in to handle the hiring, the quality control, and the communication bridges. You create a human shield between the founder and the logistical nightmare of HR. You might pay a global rate for talent, which is cost-effective, but you charge a Western market rate for the managed service. You are profiting from the gap between the cost of labor and the value of peace of mind. You are essentially the buffer between the chaos of hiring and the seamless delivery of work. And let me tell you, peace of mind is incredibly expensive. Now let's pivot to the dopamine mines. Content repurposing is a massive industry right now, specifically podcast clip channels and agencies.
We are seeing short-form clips on TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and Instagram driving massive reach for long-form creators. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. Editing these clips is time-consuming, it's tedious, and it requires a very specific, high-dopamine skill set that most long-form creators simply do not possess. There are agencies that do nothing, literally nothing else but take long, boring 3-hour podcasts, chop them up into viral moments, add those flashy, engaging captions, create hooks, and fix the pacing so it doesn't put people to sleep. They charge monthly retainers to handle this entire pipeline. As long as the war for attention continues on social media, and believe me, it's not ending anytime soon, it's essentially an arms race at this point, the demand for high-quality, short-form content will only increase. It's the primary marketing funnel of the modern age. If you can control the clips, you control the attention.
The business of naming. This next one sounds odd. Honestly, it almost sounds like a scam, but it is surprisingly lucrative. We're talking about startup naming agencies. It sounds simple, right? Just picking a name. Like, how hard can that be? But for a founder, the name of their company is an emotional and strategic obsession. It keeps them up at night. Factors like domain availability, brand sentiment, memorability, it turns into a nightmare scenario very quickly. There are solo operators and small boutique agencies charging thousands of dollars just to name companies and secure the digital rights. Think about the economics here. It requires zero inventory, zero overhead. You're selling words. It is pure creativity and strategy. If you have a knack for branding and linguistics, and you can navigate the absolute minefield that is GoDaddy domain searching, this is a service with virtually 100% profit margins. You are getting paid for your brain, not your hands. You're essentially selling a vibe, and people will pay a premium for a good vibe. The gatekeeper. Finally, let's look at asset-based digital real estate, niche job boards. Look, the major job sites like Indeed or LinkedIn, they are too crowded. They are noisy. They are essentially garbage fires of spam and recruiters ghosting you. The value is now in the niche. The riches are in the niches, as the cliche goes. Instead of a job board for everyone, think about a job board specifically for Web3 marketers or remote graphic designers or, I don't know, underwater basket weavers. Okay, maybe not that last one. That market is probably saturated. But here's the logic. Companies are willing to pay a premium to post on these boards because they know the candidates are already pre-qualified by the nature of the platform. It filters out the noise. Candidates get access to higher quality roles, and the platform owner, that's you, builds an asset that generates cash flow and can eventually be sold for a significant multiple. It's a classic marketplace model applied to specific verticals. You are building a velvet rope around a specific club and charging people to get inside. Simple, effective, and highly profitable. So, what is the big takeaway from all of this? None of these ideas are revolutionary new inventions. None of them rely on magic or luck. They all work because they solve specific, painful problems for a specific group of people. They utilize leverage, whether that is through artificial intelligence, content distribution, or labor arbitrage. The businesses that win are the ones that take these fundamental concepts and execute them with consistency. The blueprint is there, the tools are available, the rest is entirely up to you. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.